Meet Lana. At 43, she has $114,000 worth of debt, zero savings, and is struggling to stay afloat.
Those are like payday loans. Before I got evicted, I was borrowing money and I was trying to get out of debt.
But the deeper she went, the worse it got. You took out payday loans to try to pay off other debt? She ended up digging herself into an even bigger hole.
Yeah, I was trying to make my finances look better and I was able to get a hold of payday loans.
Will Lana finally wake up from the mess she's in, or is she destined to keep sinking?
Hi, my name is Lana. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm 43 years old.
Awesome. And what do you do for a living, Lana, out in Phoenix?
Well, it's been a kind of a long journey, but currently right now I work at the airport and I do very like entry-level jobs. So I do part-time cleaning the airplanes, between flights. When we switch in flights, it needs to be cleaned, picked up the trash, clean the bathrooms. So I do that. And I also work for a food place at the airport on the different days. I work at Panera, if you know that. It's like a cafe.
Okay. And how much do you make an hour for both those roles?
Well, they're different ones. So I work at Jetstream for a while. So I make about $17 an hour there. And I work about like 22 hours a week. And then at Panera, I make $15, but we also make tips. And I also work about 22 hours there per week.
Gross income, you're in the probably the $40,000 range a year?
Something like 30, maybe 37 to 40. Yep.
And how long you been working at Panera and cleaning airplanes for?
At Panera, probably like 2 years, and cleaning airplanes for like a little bit over a year.
And what did you do prior to both those jobs?
Before those jobs, I used to work for McDonald's for about 5 years. I do have an accounting degree, but I haven't been using that for a while as my financial situation kind of hit harder. And I wasn't working in a field for a while, so I really need, in order for me to come back into accounting, I need to probably like refresh my skills.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, accounting degree will definitely yield you some higher wages than your current role. So that's probably something you should be looking at, is how do you refresh those skills without going into more debt. So on that, let's talk about your current financial situation then. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your current financial situation?
Probably like 6.
A 6? Or you think you're in a good situation right now?
Out of 10, definitely. No, it's not very good. Yeah, no, I'm definitely breaking even in many ways. Like, I live in a good place and I try to maintain it, but honestly, it is a little bit unaffordable for me, and I'm aware of this. But in order for me to like change my expenses, like rent, for example, would be very difficult based on my income and the way and my credit history. Like, my credit history is very low. So I live like in a hotel, and they let me stay without having a security deposit, where if I were to move anywhere else, they would ask me upfront all of those costs and fees, and that would be difficult for me to move anywhere else because I don't have an upfront security deposit.
Okay, so put yourself at a 6. If you're in a tough financial situation or not very good, I'd be putting you, looking at your current finances, I'd definitely be putting you well below a 5, probably a 2, looking at this right now. And so we're kind of going to dive into your current situation, current assets and debts, but definitely looks like there's a lot of room for improvement. You're 42 right now, and I don't think you're going to work till the day you die. So we got to start figuring out how do we start saving money for retirement as well, because Social Security is probably not going to cover and replace your entire income. And if you don't have savings set up, you're going to be screwed when you turn 67. So is that anything you've ever thought about? Have you ever thought about saving for retirement or ever?
No, I think about it, definitely, but I don't really have a lot of room to start saving in that.
Okay. So let's dive into this then. So I asked one other question. How long have you been in the hotel for, living out of that?
For like 1 year. Actually, you see, I know my situation is very crazy. What happened is that I failed to pay my rent, and I was kicked out from my apartment. So it took me a little bit of time to start saving money. And I saved up enough to move to a hotel. So that's how I live right now. Otherwise I probably would be living in an apartment, but I can't afford it because I wanted to move out fast enough with all my debt at that time. So I do like it. It's pretty cool to live here, but it's kind of expensive. And a lot of people tell me that the first thing that I have to change about my life is my rent. But it's difficult, honestly. I kind of like.
So I'm about to tell you what other people have probably already told you, but we'll dive more into, I guess, the living situation, what you need to do. But looking at this, that is definitely one thing that needs to change. But first, let's dive through your assets first. So you don't have a vehicle, it looks like. So no vehicle?
No.
How do you get to work?
Well, I take public transportation, or I can walk if I want to.
Okay, public transportation is great. Retirement account is $1,000. Is that in a 401k? Is that in a
For a while.
401k?
No.
Okay. And then we have $0 in the bank account is what you put on here. Is that accurate?
Yes. Don't have savings.
You have zero, like in your bank account right now, you have $0.
This, well, pretty much. Yeah. No, it's enough to cover some kind of upcoming bills for a month, but that's it.
Yeah, assets $1,000 total. That is not we haven't got to the fun stuff of the debt. So debts, we have personal loan $800, student loans $100,000, credit cards $8,000, and then other debts $6,000. So we have total debts of $114,800, which puts your net worth at negative $113,800. Have you ever calculated your net worth before?
No.
What does that number say to you right now? Hearing that for the first time then.
Well, that's a very high debt amount, pretty much I'm, way below where I should be.
Would you still put yourself at a 6?
Yeah, good question. I don't know, yeah, well, you're saying it's way below 5, so yes, way below.
I'd be putting you at a 2 right now looking at this because this is not a pretty sight. Student loan, I guess we'll talk more about that. So when did you go to college? And was this from like in your early 20s, the student loan debt, the $100,000, getting your accounting degree?
Oh, well, actually, I got it like in my mid-20s, yes. Something like I was done with it in 2008, so 12 years ago, like in my late 20s.
Okay. And what is the interest rate on those student loans? Do you know?
Oh, they're government loans, so it's very, very low interest rate.
Okay. And are you paying monthly payments on those right now?
No.
Are you on an income-based repayment plan or you're just haven't paid?
Deferment kind of type of thing.
Okay. And have you ever, so you studied accounting, got an accounting degree. Have you ever used that degree ever since you graduated?
Yes. I worked in accounting for about 3 years, something like that.
And how much were you making then in the accounting world?
Well, I started from probably like $15 an hour, and my highest salary was almost like $40,000, $45,000 a year on just like 40 hours.
Still a little low for accounting degree, but definitely. Why did you leave that career field?
I wanted to change, and become like a financial advisor, and that kind of hits me with other things. And it totally crashed. Yeah, like in 2012, my life totally crashed. I was like lost of job and like, it was pretty bad. So I'm still gonna try to recover.
Still have a long way to go, and let's figure out a plan to get there. So before we get to the plan and look at your current budget and expenses, I'll learn more about you. So where did you grow up, and what did your parents teach you about money growing up?
I didn't really have a lot of like a financial greedy. My mom would give me like a pocket money for a week, and then I moved to the United States and I started working and was kind of figuring out things on my own.
And so have you always been in debt since you moved to the United States back in?
Well, I was kind of breaking even. I mean, I didn't make a lot of money, but I didn't have like a lot of debt. Right now, all of my debt is kind of hanging there, but I live 100%, I would say, on my cash income,
Okay, so the debt's not going down, but it's not going up. So you're not utilizing debt any further right now.
That's right. Yep.
The credit cards, are those in collections and some of those other personal loans?
Something like that. I was actually able to contact a debt settlement agency, and I was trying to figure out a way to pay for it. And I was able to make a few payments, but then I quit one of my jobs, and I was like sure that I'm gonna get another one, but I wasn't able to. So yeah, that one crashed, and right now it's just the debt that is hanging in.
So let's go through the different debts then. So the personal loan, $800. What is that from?
That's usually like online banks that you can get them with your like salary advance or based on your credit history. They're usually like small, $100, $200.
Okay, and do you know what the interest rate on those are?
Oh, they usually repaid within next week. So it's very, very low interest rate. I would say you pay like maybe $20, $30 in fees, but you have to repay them every 2 weeks, something like that.
It's not cheap. If you're borrowing $100, $200 and you have to pay $20 back, I mean, that's 10% interest, and that's every 2 weeks. I mean, that's compounded. That's not cheap debt right there. But that's a biweekly 10% interest rate. Are you still utilizing those right now?
Well, no, because I haven't paid them back.
Oh, so you haven't paid it back. Okay. Okay, and then credit cards, are those all in collections? Are you using those credit cards at all anymore?
No. Yeah, they're closed, and, they're nearly hitting collections, but not yet.
Okay. Don't even be using credit cards. And then the other debt, you put $6,000. What is that for?
Those are like payday loans. Before I got evicted, I was borrowing money and I was trying to get out of debt, and that's kind of accumulated to that. And those are super high interest rates. Those would be like you have to pay back if you're on a payment schedule. Could be like 300%, not like 300% interest.
Payday loans are the worst type of loans. So wait, you took out loans to try to use payday loans to try to pay off other debt?
Yeah, I was trying to make my finances look better, and I was able to get a hold of payday loans, but eventually I crashed into.
Payday loans don't make your finances look better. They make your finances look worse.
Oh, but I really, really needed money, so.
300 to 400% payday loans is.
Well, I was able to consolidate. Well, I was able to contact debt settlement agency that would be helping me to negotiate repayment terms, but I don't work with them anymore because I'm not able to afford those monthly payments.
Okay. So how long has these credit cards, a personal loan, the payday loans been going on for? Like 2 years, 10 years?
Oh, no, like maybe 2 years.
2 years. Okay. And what have you done over the last year? Because you've been in this hotel for the last year. What have you done over the last year to change your financial situation or try to improve?
Well, I've been looking for work, but there is absolutely nothing where I can fit another job. Like I can't have anything. It could be probably like if I want to quit one job, I can't find something that would pay me less or would pay me more, And because I decided to quit my job because my work schedule was running about, like 80 hours a week. No, it was like really many, many hours. I don't make a lot of money, and my loan payments were like very expensive. My job was mostly like cleaning and doing this and that. So I quit one of the jobs, and I was hoping to find something better, but I didn't find it.
Okay. So you quit your job. Debt settlement didn't work out. You're working 44 hours a week now. And so let's talk about then your current financial situation, your current budget. And so you sent me this over. And so on a net income basis, you're about $2,600 a month. You have your rent at $2,100 a month. So you're paying $2,100 a month to live at the hotel right now?
I actually was able to find a better rate. Right now, I'm paying about $1,800 a month. So it's much better.
Not cheap. What have you paid the last 12 months there?
Well, on average, it's probably about $2,000 a month, something like that. Because you see, when you live in a hotel, sometimes I have to sign the short-term leases like every 3 months, and sometimes the rate can be higher. Well, I didn't reach out to negotiate those rates. I kind of go online and do that. It's just kind of easy. I'm already embarrassed with my living situation, so I prefer to do things quietly online. But I'm learning to ask for help, I would say.
Okay, so yeah, because I mean that just off the bat is putting you in a very, very tough situation with your finances, because if you're bringing in $2,600 and you have $1,800 a month going out just for that, you're just basically screwing yourself because you can't afford to live, and you've been paying $2,000 for last year. So you said home utilities $72. What utilities do you have to pay for while living at the hotel?
Laundry.
Oh, laundry. Okay. And then we've got public transportation, $64 a month. No car payment, any of that. Groceries, $300 a month. So total necessities, $2,236. Then you have your phone bill at $85, eating out for $40, health and fitness for $52, which brings your total fund money to $177, and your total living expenses $2,413. But then you have, between your different, you're not making any payments in these debts right now, are you?
No.
Okay, so you have, $1,500 a month in debt payments, but if you're not paying any of it, that leaves your total living expenses at $2,400. So you should have $200 left over, but it doesn't sound like that's the situation right now. Granted, you just got your rent down a little bit, but where's the extra money going?
It's probably on food or some kind of things like that, overspending.
Okay, and so that's my first question for you is, what does your budgeting process look like right now?
Oh, it's pretty easy, money come in, and I just want to make sure that I pay my rent first, and then everything else.
Do you use any tools, softwares, Excel sheets to track how much you spend on each category, like on food or on groceries?
No, not really. No, I use that Clio app, and it kind of gives you some budgeting tools there.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Clio's app and what it kind of looks like or the budget they have. I see they have an AI-based budget, but do you use that?
Just for fun of it, just to see how much I spend. That could give like some breakdown.
I would definitely using their budgeting or another tool out there if you're using their app, because if you don't track your expenses, you won't know how much money you're spending or where to cut back or where to make changes. You might not be spending 300 in groceries, it might be 400. But budgeting is a very important and critical piece to building wealth, getting out of debt, and manage your money. So on that, let's look at your statement you sent over. So during this time period, this was June 28th to July 27th, you had $3,000 worth of purchases and $429 worth of cash advances, and then $7 worth of charges.
Well, you see, the way it works, it's like it's called a credit card. So all of my income comes in there. I have a little bit. It's called something like an advance. They give me $150 advance before my paycheck every 2 weeks. That helps me pay some bills that are a little bit like earlier, and they are automatically paid back after 2 weeks. So those repayment things, that's kind of what brings it up so high.
Well, I see. Those are the cash advances. It looks like because you had one for $243, $23, and $163, and they charge you $2.50 there. But apart from that, I mean, that's included in your monthly spending. But you spent $3,400 during this time period. And I mean, looking at this, I mean, you have your hotel stuff on here. We've got some small stuff at Target. We've got Safeway. We've got Walgreens. What are you buying on Afterpay?
Well, sometimes I can even get my grocery shopping there done. You know, like if you go on Afterpay, they give you pay in 4.
So you're buying groceries on buy now, pay later right now.
Yeah. Well, I try to pay it off at the same time I buy.
That you need to stop doing that because you said you're living off a cash basis right now, but if you're using buy now, pay later, that is not a cash basis. That is basically using a credit card. Yes, it's 0% interest rate credit card over 4, whatever, but it's not a good idea to do that. And like on here, we have a lot of small, I mean, these are so many small transactions between Afterpay. There's a bunch of $5 ones, a lot of Safeways, a lot of Staples, Walgreens, more Target, Staples, Safeway, Target for $54. We've got what is EOS Fitness? Is that your gym?
Yeah, yes.
Why are there multiple different payments on here for $25?
One of them probably late fee. They have a very high late fees. Like if you're late to pay EOS Fitness, they charge you $25 on the top of your fees.
Why don't you use the hotel gym?
Oh, it's only like they only have like a treadmill and bike. That's it, so, and $25 is not a lot of money per month, and it's right next door. I mean,
this is $50, and it's a lot. $50 is a lot of money when you're spending $3,400 making $2,600. So I'm not saying you need to work out. Working out is great to do. You need to do it, take care of yourself. But I'm just saying, if you live in a place where you're paying for access to their hotel gym, it might not be as nice as much equipment, but it's still a gym that you can operate and stay fit in.
Well, they don't really have anything. They only have like a bike and treadmill, and they don't have any weights, nothing.
Just some of the things. I'm just pointing out things that can change your financial situation currently.
Okay.
A lot of Afterpay, more Afterpay for $10, Staples for $2, Safeway for $19, Target for $16, Afterpay again for $10, $16, Panera for $10, Starbucks for $25, Uber for $22, Starbucks for $26, Panera for $25, Safeway for $20, extended stay again. So, I mean, the issue right now is looking at this is a lot of these transactions are small. Besides the hotel, all the other transactions look to be pretty small. Besides there's Target for $54, everything else is under $54. And the issue though is there's 3 pages of transaction and they're all small, but they add up quickly. I mean, each page has 30 transactions probably. And so this is 100 different transactions over the course of a month that you swiped on this card. And if you don't have a budget, if you don't track your expenses, you don't know how much you spend on each category. Like I look at this, you can't see how much did you actually spend at Target last month? How much did you spend at Walgreens? How much you spend at Staples? How much you spend on Afterpay stuff? Because there's a lot of small things. So that's why it's very important you categorize stuff in different categories. Okay, last month I spent $500 in groceries. I need to cut it down to $300 this month. Or I spent X number of dollars shopping. I need to cut it down to 0. And if you don't track, then it's very difficult to understand where your money is going and how you can improve it. Because right now, I mean, I could tell you what you need to do is cut down on all these little Staples visits, Walgreens visits. Buy now, pay later needs to not be happening. Starbucks needs to not be happening. I mean, you can't afford to save money. You shouldn't be shopping. You shouldn't be buying things that are not necessities, eating out. I mean, you'd be making sandwiches or something you can bring to work instead of spending money there. But it's very difficult to change your finances if you don't budget. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, I agree.
The cash advances, same thing with that. I mean, you're getting charged a fee for that. So like reducing that to zero needs to be doing. But like really, I mean, your main problem right now is you need to track your expenses, cut back on stuff, on unnecessary things. And then you have to really start figuring out how are you going to do two things: increase income and pay down debt. And so, I mean, the only way to get out of this situation currently is live on less than you make, and the difference goes towards paying off debt. And then once you're out of debt, you invest it. But if you don't track your expenses, you're going to be in the same situation, same constant cycle for eternity, unless you make drastic change. And so there's, I guess, a few things that you can do looking at this. The housing right now is killing you. Spending $1,800, $1,900 a month on rent. I did a quick little search near the Phoenix airport. I don't know Phoenix at all, the area by the airport, but there's apartments over here for $900, for $800, for $1,100. And so if you got your expenses down from $1,800 or $2,000 down to $1,000 a month, yes, you're going to have utilities, water, some of those you have to factor in. So if it's $1,000 rent, probably going to be around $1,200, $1,250. So that's $500, $600, $700 a month compared to your previous expenses that you'd be able to save and not have going out the door to rent. So that's one thing you need to figure out is can you contact these landlords that not big hotel or big apartment complexes will probably be more difficult, but can you find more smaller complexes that are 10 to 20 units or 5 to 20 units that might be a little more lenient on the security deposit? You can show them the proof of employment and verification there and work with them on that process. A lot of them might say no, but there's also some that might say yes. And other options, finding Facebook groups where you can get roommates, where there's people that are looking to sublease in your area and have a room in their apartment for $900 or $700 and be able to go that route and figure out, are there ways that you can go without having to put down a big security deposit with it? Have you tried any of those? Have you thought about doing any of that?
Yeah, it's all like you see coming up with some kind of money down payment, and I don't have any furniture right now, so that's probably roommate is maybe, I don't know.
Roommate's a good idea, or people that are renting out a room in their house or in their apartment. But I mean, that's the biggest thing that you can change right now. If you do not change your living situation and get those expenses down, the only other option is increasing your income. And personally, if I was you, I'd do both. I would figure out the roommate situation or figure out how can you save up, cut everything back so you can save up $800 or $1,000 for security deposit on an apartment over the next 2 or 3 months, hopefully shorter. Find side jobs or work more hours at other places, but you need to save up security deposit first and foremost so you can get yourself out of the hotel. Because until you do that, it's going to be very difficult to change your situation with how much money is going towards your rent. So first and foremost, save up money for security deposit, or just start contacting places to see if there's a landlord that will take you without a security deposit. The number 2 is the income side of things. And that comes down to finding new jobs, applying to new jobs. When's the last time you applied to a new job?
I would say maybe like a month ago. Yeah, I'm kind of discouraged a little bit looking for work. April and May, I was like heavily looking for work almost every day, every other day. But right now, like I look maybe once every week or something.
And I can understand it can be discouraging, but the also reality is if you don't change it, no one else is going to change it for you. That job is not going to pop out of the woods and say, hey, here's a $50,000 a year salary. It just doesn't happen. So the only way that you can change your situation is if you decide one day, hey, I'm gonna change this. And that means going to restaurants. That means going to hotels to see if they have jobs, to see retail places, other food places, or hey, what can you do to get back in the accounting world? Are there entry-level accounting positions that you can apply to and that you can get into that might be willing to train you or work with you on that? But you have an accounting degree and you just have to figure out how can you use that, or how can you find other jobs that instead of paying you $17, they pay you $20 an hour. But those are your biggest things right now that you have to do is increase your income with new jobs or more jobs, and 2, decrease your expenses, majority being your housing, finding a roommate that you live with that doesn't require a security deposit, that already has furniture or is renting out a room. Because yeah, you're right. Saving up money for security deposit for an apartment is one thing, but then you get in there and you don't even have a bed. I don't care about the TV. I don't care about the couch. But if you don't have a bed, it makes it difficult. You at least need a bed, and I don't want you sleeping on a blow-up mattress for your entire life. But I think the roommates situation, looking in Facebook groups, looking areas like that find people that are looking for roommates that you can move into would be very beneficial for your situation. And then once you do those 2 things, that's where the kind of even harder part comes in, is you have to figure out your debt situation. And so there's two ways to pay off debt. Are you familiar with the debt snowball method and the avalanche method?
I might heard of some of them. I'm not sure.
So avalanche method is you pay the highest interest rate debt first. The debt snowball method is pay the lowest balance first. In your situation, I would probably do the debt snowball because of a few reasons. One, you're already behind and going to collections for basically everything. So, and two, I mean, the interest rates on between the payday loans, the credit cards, and the personal loans are probably about the same anyway. In that same situation, like it puts you, the debt snowball and the avalanche method would probably be about the same order, since the personal loans and the payday loans have the lower balances and higher interest rate, and the credit cards are the highest balance, but they have lower interest rate than payday loan. So what you do once you have a buffer each month is what you're going to have to do, frankly, since a lot of them are going to collections, is you have to save that amount of money and call them and pay it off. And so like the personal loan, the $800, you got to save up $800 and then go pay that off. And then the next couple months, you got to be saving up to pay off the other loans. And like the stuff that goes to collections, I guess at this point, it's been years. It should probably be going to collections. Collection agency will be calling you. What you need to do is not pay that probably off in full, but when the collection agency calls you, say, hey, I'll give you 50 cents on the dollar. And you have to have that money saved up, and then you can pay it off. Instead of paying $8,000 towards your credit cards, you might pay only $4,000. They might say no, and you'll say, okay, well, I don't have the money. Hang up and say, call me back next month. The next month they call you back, offer them $3,000. And you can just continue to haggle and negotiate with the creditors because they bought the debt pennies on the dollar, so you can negotiate with them too. Did you know that you could do that?
Yeah, no, you know what? Even actually my credit card company reached out to me trying to help me out with some kind of settlement, but I didn't have enough money, so yeah.
So, I mean, at that point, they're selling it to debt collectors, and they're going to be willing to settle for even less money. So that's something that you're going to have to do because you will have to pay cash for that, upfront for that. Don't take out a loan to try to pay those off. Just start saving up money, and then you'll be able to pay those off. But that's really your biggest problem right now is you have to fix your income and expenses situation before you can even start talking about debt, because there's no room in your budget right now to be able to do that. And then once it's going to be a long way out of debt, the personal loans, credit cards, and the other debt, hopefully you can get that paid off within a year. The student loans is a whole different ballgame that we'd have to analyze and see, okay, what's the interest rate on these? Are there any forgiveness paths on this that you're going to be eligible for? I don't know. And then from there, you have to figure out investing for your future and retirement, but we can't really talk about retirement until, given your current situation, we have no money to invest. So it's like, that's a multi-year probably plan from here, maybe at least 12 months, or at least 12 months paying off the debt, and then probably another 6 or 12 months of saving up an emergency fund after that. And then we can start talking about investing versus the student loans. So we're probably still 2 years out of being able to talk about investing for retirement, but you have to start making changes now on your current financial situation. Otherwise, you're going to wake up when you're 67, have no retirement, and Social Security is going to pay you a couple $100 a month, and you're not going to be able to afford to live, or you're going to have to work till the day you die. And that's not, I don't want that for you. I want you to take action on this today so that 2 years from now, you look back and say, hey, I decided to change that day. I was going to figure out how do I increase my income and decrease my living expenses. And then 2 years from now, you'll be in a much better situation. You'll still have $100,000 with student loans, but at least at that point, you have the high interest rate debt paid off, and then the student loans, you can start figuring out a plan of action from there, investing a plan of action from there, and have some sort of solid foundation of base with emergency. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, my situation is pretty bad. I'm seriously embarrassed. It helps to talk to someone about it, definitely.
What piece of advice would you give to someone in a similar situation as you?
I don't know, keep the job, no matter what, no matter how difficult, your situation is, or no matter how much you don't get along sometimes with coworkers, just keep your job because, I see homeless people on the streets and I see people discouraged, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get there, Yeah, I would say that keep your job. Your job is the main source of get a roommate or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. 100% agree with that. What moment did you realize you're kind of in financial trouble?
Well, I was evicted, so I was, homeless for some time. I know it's not very funny, but I'm kind of sorry. It's kind of nervous type of laugh. So yeah, no, I don't have very good. Some people have very good personal boundaries. I don't have a lot of them. I have something that is very tight. Like when it's almost the last minute, then when I'm saying that I'm in trouble. But really, I should have done that much, much earlier.
I got a follow-up email from Lana I wanted to share. I asked her what her key takeaways were from our discussion, and she said that I have to remind myself about more structured and financially stable life. I have to find time to solve my financial problems. I asked her what actual steps has she started on since we last spoke, and she said she downloaded the app, she's checked out financial tools. I was not able to find work yet, but I'm browsing available sources like weekly newsletters from LinkedIn. I'm considering paying off Afterpay within the next 2 months. And our top financial goal of the next 90 days is finding an additional source of income. She came to realize that if she's to borrow money, she should use them to advance her education. That will guarantee me a higher paying job. Otherwise, borrowing is on hold for me. Appreciate Lana. I'm wishing her all the best in her future. Cheering her on. Hopefully she'll pay off this Afterpay debt. Hopefully she won't be borrowing more money. Hopefully she'll find a new job that can help improve her financial situation soon. Thanks for watching.